Jessica Jimenez. So I was diagnosed with lupus just last August 2019. That's why I'm at high risk, because I have so many diseases, so I have to be careful, especially now because of coronavirus.
So the majority of people have been well, and they don't believe that anything bad can happen. They don't realize that there's a minority of patients who've had serious complications.
Just wear a mask. Like, you never know, like us people, like we look like we look fine, but we're still like dying inside, and we're still really vulnerable to this disease along with like many others out there. I really didn't have time to really like fall into my disease just yet, because I was just so busy and I was always in pain. But especially since like this past February, like right before COVID really hit like the States, like my health started like deteriorating. Like that's when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, right before I went into lockdown. Then like in the middle of lockdown, I was diagnosed with the myositis. And so it was just like one after another.
When I talk to lupus patients, the thing that bothers them the most is probably just the fatigue and the lack of energy and strength.
It's sad to me because she is so young, and to see that things are slowly being taken away from her, and we don't know how this is going to impact her in the future, and it's terrifying, and it's, I mean, and it's fucked, and I know you can't use that, but it's fucked. On so many levels.
In the March and April, the spring timeframe, it was really stressful. We didn't have much knowledge about the illness, so we were kind of approaching it as we do other coronaviruses. To our dismay, we found that this one really affected people much worse in a small number of people. They had some of the same kind of problems that you find in SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, and other diseases that attack the body themselves.
Medication wasn't helping, so I had to get infusions, which is done at like the doctor's office with other patients like myself, including cancer patients. So we're all vulnerable. So it's kind of scary going there.
Even without a life-threatening or life-taking complication, it can be an illness that causes a lot more complications in the elderly and those with chronic illness. Systemic lupus erythematosus is an autoimmune disorder. It attacks skin and multiple other internal organs. COVID seems to launch an inflammatory response all over the body, and some people have ended up with heart attacks and strokes and blood clots that travel to the lung and kill them, kidney failure and failure of their intestines, so they have lots of diarrhea. Very few other viral illnesses affect the taste and smell as much as COVID do.
So my mom was out of work for like a few months throughout quarantine and stuff, and she got a job back in July.
The only thing that I think is in the back of my mind is I don't think people are always truthful when you go through COVID screening questions. And there's always that fear that somebody, may have been exposed or may have come into work and have a fever. And, I do all I can to make sure that I'm safe and don't bring any of it home.
She's always wearing a mask. She's always careful, always sanitizes her hands. But there's always like, what if she has it? And sometimes I do get scared.
A lot of immune compromised people, you can't tell from the outside that they're broken on the inside, and they don't get it. You can sit there and try and explain to somebody, but they just don't understand, and so for me, it's just having people have an open mind and just being aware of other people and that we're not all the same.
I did get a bicycle for graduation, so although my mobility has decreased, like walking wise, I still go like at a slower pace on my bicycle, so that's been nice.
We were our social bubble, so it doesn't really feel that different. Nothing's really changed outside our home except the rest of the world. So for us, it doesn't, what's uncertain is kind of the future and what this looks like and staying safe.